Republican Congressman Adam Kinzinger sits on the House Foreign Affairs Committee. He was recently deployed to the southern border as part of his Air National Guard unit. So you have seen firsthand the humanitarian crisis that sits at the border. Thousands of immigrants, but not, and most importantly, the children that are being used as pawns to get these illegals in. It's about time that Mexico does something. Is this what it's going to take? 5% tariffs and climbing. What do you think?
Well, you're right, and the president's absolutely right at noting what the issue is. The Democrats will try to hit on the infrastructure available to house children. Let's say we have 10,000 open beds, there'll be 11,000 children that come up, et cetera. And so the issue is real. The issue is a problem. It's an absolute national emergency. The thing we have to be realistic about, we have a hard time controlling our own border, and we're a very advanced nation. Mexico, which has a lot of its own struggles, the idea that they can, in essence, make their border impenetrable is going to be unrealistic. There are things they can and probably physically can't do, so we need to figure out how to partner with them on this. Where I get concerned, and I hope the president's successful, by the way, 100%, but I get concerned with the idea of opening a trade front with Mexico because I represent a hugely agricultural district that has been very patient and very supportive of the fight against China, and this could be another basically left hook to their face, and so that'll be where, if it actually gets to this, there's going to be some difficulty.
There has been some concerns about the tariffs affecting a new North American trade deal. Here's the president saying he's not worried about that in an interview with Laura Ingraham. Let's listen.
I'm not worried about it because they need us. We don't need them. They need us. They stole 32% of our car business with NAFTA, the stupidest deal, one of the truly stupid deals of our time. They stole 32,000. They have 32% of our car business.
It's an important ally of the United States, though. It's one of our most important trading. Well, it's one of our most important trading partners.
Okay, fine. And yet they send in $500 billion worth of drugs. We will never do that kind of trade.
Okay, so the president, when he campaigned to become president, he talked about how he would be tough on trade, and obviously he was talking about China at the time. When it came to Mexico, he promised a wall. He promised that Mexico would pay for it. Mexico has not done such a thing, but Mexico has also not done a thing about stopping all those immigrants from coming. This is a step, you have to admit, and by them sending their troops to the border of Guatemala and finally taking some responsibility. These tariffs, in fact, that have not been imposed yet, are working already.
Yeah, and like I said, I hope they work. And if he makes a decision on Monday to implement them, I mean, even by the time Congress reacts, it's still a number of months till that can even happen. So there will be an impact. And like I said, I hope he's successful on this. Where I get worried about is if we go down, like we've been in with China right now for a number of months, you look at what that does to the ag community and to the trade community. And frankly, the other thing, too, is we got to be concerned if Mexico's economy takes a big hit, it's going to give them even less ability to control that, give the cartels more power, which is my biggest concern on there. So I hope the president is successful in this. It is an utter and absolute national emergency. It's a human rights crisis.
Yep.
And to say, for the Democrats to say we're not going to secure the border is, I think, actually very inhumane in and of itself because it's encouraging people to take a very dangerous journey.
Right. Well, the Democrats have maintained, oddly enough, that this would be too expensive. And that has been their argument from day one. They didn't want the wall. They didn't want the money for immigration reform because it would cost too much money. At what cost? What dollar sign do you put on the lives of children? And I understand that, they are children from other countries. Nonetheless, they are children. The humanitarian crisis needs to be taken seriously. Democrats haven't come up with any kind of plan, and they're never going to as long as they are in control. So basically, we won't see anything until the next election. 5% tariffs, do you think that's enough? Is that too much?
If you do 5%, look, I think that'll send a very strong warning shot. But to your point also, I'll say this. The Democrats actually tried to negotiate in the omnibus less beds for children. That's what people don't get. They tried to, less detaining facilities. And they're being very disingenuous in this. And if they come to the table and say, look, we want to work with the president, I think we can actually make some positive steps. But thus far, they've made it clear the president can't have a win. And that's, I think, their driving motive in some of this.
All right. Congressman Kinzinger, thank you very much. Kinzinger, thank you.
Anytime.